Thank you very much, people. Thank you. There's a huge crowd here at the library. Thank you for the applause there. My mother box is in the workshop. So once again, thanks for the applause there, folks. Live from an undisclosed location, hidden somewhere deep in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's, comes In the Library of Graphic Literature with your host, that guy, Wallace. Oh, here he is. Anyway, another beautiful Friday, of course. Our comics were delayed by wind this week. As a matter of fact, it was so windy, and I kid you not, on the west coast of the island here where I live, a couple of tractor trailers were blown off the highway in a place called Wreckhouse, funny enough. And you might think, oh wow, that's pretty wild. But I hate to say it, but it happens all the time. I think they'd slow down, or at least wait until the wind drops. Who's to say? Who's to say? Who's to say? Anyway, let's get into looking at what books finally did come over across from the Gulf. Oh, I do have some upcoming big comic book news, but I have to wait for a month to tell you. So 1 month from today, and keep an eye out because I will announce it here too. There's I got some cool comic book news for you. What's the mystery? What's he hiding? Woo 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 woo. Speaking of woo 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 woo, BPRD Hell on Earth Volume 3. Well, you know, who can complain about Mike Mignola and BPRD? I love Plague of Frogs. I've loved everything actually so far that good old Mike has done in regards to BPRD, Hellboy, Abe Sapien, Baltimore I like too. So yeah, I really like his stuff. And cool thing is he's able to get people who sort of work with his style too, which is kind of cool. So BPRD, he has, I think, a John R. Cuddy. Let's check it out here, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Lawrence Campbell, Peter Schnenberg, Tyler Crook, James Heron. But anyway, really, really cool. Really cool stuff as usual. And I'll give you a quick look through, check out the cover. Of course, cover is beautiful as usual. And let's see. Here's a look at some of the artwork. Nice printing as usual, of course, from Dark Horse. But yeah, it's like I say, BPRD, you can't lose. Great stories. I've been a big fan ever since I first read Hellboy and got into the whole Mignola-verse that way. And as it's expanded, so has my interest in it. Okay, here we go. Last and definitely not least, oh, excuse me for burping here, is volume 6 of Walt Kelly's Pogo. These are the comic books, the complete Dell Comics. Volume 6 is, as it says here, it features the last 2 complete issues of Pogo Possum Comics, together with the Bumbazine and Albert stories from Our Gang number 6, Albert and Pogo's Christmas from 4-color number 254, and an unpublished Pogo Possum story, examples of original artwork and the like. So yeah, it's I've been a big fan of Pogo since, I guess, since the 70s. A friend of mine, my good friend Jerry Porter, he had shown me, turned me on to Pogo. He lent me a book of, basically it was like a collection, the best of Pogo, and I read it and I absolutely loved it. It was cool. So here, have a quick look here. here we go. And I kind of like a bit of a funny animal fan myself anyway. And Pogo, I just, the drawing, I love the drawing of Pogo. There's, to me, the drawing is almost as much of it as is the writing. Of course, the writing, especially later on in the comic strips themselves, top notch. Walt Kelly, you were the master. And not a lot of new books this week. That's why I got a special surprise feature here. Not a lot of books this week, but the last book this week is from our good folks at Amigo Comics. And here we go. This is Sky Masters of the Space Force. Doom, 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 doom. And these are the complete Sunday strips in color from 59 to 60. This is from Ferran Delgado. Way to go, Ferran. I love this. It's basically all the Sunday strips to the classic Sky Masters of the Space Force comic strip that was done by Wally Wood and Jack King Kirby. And it looks pretty good. I know there was an edition put out about a year or so ago of the dailies, but that came from Hermes, and unfortunately it wasn't that great of a job. This, I mean, looking through this, the reproduction, everything in this is absolutely stunning. Even just looking through it now, it's like, wow. I really wish that Amigo had come out with their copy of the dailies. And any of you out there, especially any of you Kirby fans who'd like to see a better production of the Sky Masters, tell the folks at Amigo that you buy their a collection of dailies from them. I know I would toss out my Hermes book in exchange for one like this from Amigo. So, Farron, if you're listening, great job. Think about the dailies too. But yeah, it's really cool. There's nothing cooler in my mind too than Wally Wood and Jack Kirby together. It's such a neat and mixture of the two talents. So let's I'll show you some of them here anyway. But the only problem I have with this is that it's not, the binding is glued rather than sewn. But hey, for me, I don't care, because I've been waiting a long time for this anyway. Have a look at this. Look. Great Wally Wood and Jack Kirby work. So yeah, and there's some great extras and specials thrown in along with this. So yeah, hopefully someday I'd love to see a collection of the original ones. So check it out, folks. So well worth it. Oh, what was this? It was only something like 35 bucks. Very well worth it. Pick it up if you can. Oh, so that's it for new books this week. So I was wondering, what can I do to pad out this week's show? And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to talk about a comic book artist that I like. And I think I'm going to do more of these. Okay, and so, I don't know if any of you can guess from the books that I'm laying here what it is, but here goes. Anyway, this week's artist spotlight. Give it a spin there. Oh, actually, look. Today's, oh yes, this is it. Funny enough, I was going to actually show this. Anyway, I'll put that aside for a second. I bet you actually there's some other work by this artist in particular. Let's see. No, okay, maybe not. I thought maybe there might be another. Anyway, the artist I'm speaking of, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this week, is the one and only Dave Cockrum. Doom, 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 doom. The late, great Dave Cockrum. I was a huge fan of Dave's from early on. I think when I got seriously back into comics again when I was in my teens, one of the first books in which I really started seriously collecting comics again was actually Legion of Superheroes number 2, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes number 200. And the artwork was spectacular. I loved it. And of course I doubled back then and I looked for earlier editions to find more of this cool artwork, because I was a Legion fan when I was growing up. So when I came along and got back into it, I found this new guy who was on it. And not only that, but he'd done an amazing job redrawing, redesigning a lot of the early costumes. And I'll say one thing for Cockrum, he had a thing for designing amazing superhero costumes. Most of the ones here are by him, except for the Sun Boy, Ultra, Invisible Boy, Bouncing Boy, Brainiac 5, and Cosmic Boy. All the rest of them there, I do believe, are all new costumes. So now this is the latter. This is a couple of George Tuska stories, but this is around when it starts to get into Cockrum's run on it. This one here, I do believe this is Cockrum with, yeah, Murphy Anderson, which was kind of an interesting combination. And I mean, it got better and better. And then this one here, this was a out and out Cockrum all by himself. So this was really super cool. Indeed, I love the new costumes. Oh yeah, there's the new Karate Kid one. They just had really super cool new costumes. I guess that's another thing that excited me about this era. But like I say, just the artwork back then was absolutely stunning. Oh, and here's the first appearance, and this was all Cockrum too, of Wildfire, or as he was known, Erg-1 back then. And so some super cool action here where he gets killed amazingly, but he will be back. And then this is there we go, this is Lone Wolf, I mean not Lone Wolf, Timber Wolf, and it's a story about him. Oh, and then this was one of my favorites actually. This was the Fatal 5 by Dave Cockrum. And anyway, so Cockrum went on, he had an amazing, simply amazing run on Legion of Superheroes. Oh, and here it is right up to the 200th issue. And he went on, and he finally left and was replaced eventually by Mike Grell. And as a matter of fact, this is one which he penciled and Grell actually inked. And here's a shot of, I always liked this when I was a kid, these drawings with them and their costumes. He really could design some great costumes. Oh, and here he is with the return of Wildfire. This was one of my favorite. One of his last stories he did for them. But so super cool. So worth it. So check it out. Check out anything from Dave Cockrum. Oh, and here's a comic that I'll pull off the shelf. After that he did some work for Marvel, including this one. This one's a little bit beat up. This is Giant Size Avengers number 2. And Cockrum, in my mind, was always best when he inked himself. And this was one where he inked himself. Let's have a look at it in the actual book. I do have it in book form here. Okay. So we pass by here. Here we go. Okay. This was it here. This I always loved, when the Celestial Madonna was revealed to be Mantis. Mantis was so much cooler in the comic than she is in the movies. So yeah, he wasn't in a lot of the... Now this was also a Cockrum one, but unfortunately this one was inked by Joe Gilla, which just took all the goodness out of it. Like I say, if he had the right inker, he was phenomenal. And speaking of the right inker, of course we come now, of course, to what he's probably best known for, which was his run on the Giant Size X-Men. And of course, one of the best pieces he did was one he inked himself once again, Giant Size X-Men. I can remember finding this in the on the stands, and of course I recognized him, and I had to bring it home. It was just absolutely amazing. Now Frank Chiaramonte did a good job at inking him. I liked his work on him, and Sam Granger. But yeah, he had an amazing run, I thought, on the X-Men, right up until he basically handed over the reins to John Byrne. But yeah, another one of his amazing pieces. And let's see here. Oh yeah, and this was only 2 issues in this, actually, John Carter, Warlord of Mars. The first was the first issue in which he didn't draw it, but he inked the amazing Gil Kane, which is funny because the cover of the Giant Size X-Men #1 was done by Kane and Cockrum, and Cockrum does an excellent job inking Gil Kane. He almost makes it his own in a way. Now in this series too, he also did this issue here, issue number 11, which was inked by Rudy Nebrez, but this is one of my absolute favorite comics by Cockrum. Nebrez just is one of those people who really brought out Cockrum. Oh, and whew. Last but not least, in the into the 80s we went, and you know, he did stuff here and there for people. He even came back on the onto the X-Men for a while, and then later on in the 80s he joined with the new revival of the Thunder Agents, and so he did some work for him, including this particular one. And funny enough, Murphy Anderson, he was back with Murphy Anderson from his old days, and this is my favorite of all the ones from that run, was his Iron Maiden issue. Jumping over. But yeah, he did a great job on the Iron Maiden, and he did some other stuff in this too, along with Keith Giffen and some other folks. But yeah, it wasn't a bad little run on it. So, so there you go. Nice little retrospective on David Cockrum, one of the most underrated artists, I think, of the 1970s. So run out, pick up some of his work, read it, give it a good read, have a good look over it all, and fall in love with Dave Cockrum like I have. Anyway, that's it for this week. I shall summon a boom tube, and I will see you folks then. In the meantime, keep on reading them comics. Okay. See you later. Love you folks. Bye. Ah!